Are you comfortable with the market at these levels?
Listen, we are in irrational exuberance. This is a bubble, certainly in the tech space. I remember when Alan Greenspan issued those words. I don't think Jay Powell will be saying them, given that he wants the market higher. But, we're kind of unhinged from reality in a little way here, right? The economy is grinding, slowing down. We're lurching in and out of COVID, yet the tech market makes new highs every day. Tesla's up 10%. That's a classic speculative bubble. Lots of liquidity. It's finding its way into story stocks. We're at really dangerous valuations on the growth side, right? On the tech side, it's just, if it's Zoom or Tesla or Beyond Meat or whatever stock has a story, everyone's rushing into. That gets me worried.
So what does that mean for the retail investor here? We've been doing a lot of work on the mom and pop investor coming into this market. Are you concerned that they may get really burned here at some point?
Oh, yeah, certainly. This really reminds me a lot of the cryptocurrency markets in 2017 when we had this crazy rally where Bitcoin went from 8,000 to 10,000 and it was at 20,000 40 days later. And lots of people bought in and then it collapsed. Listen, these stocks aren't like crypto. They're real companies. They're just getting valued way ahead of kind of what I think reality will be. And I do think there'll be a moment. Usually these markets, what ends great bubbles usually is central bank action or sometimes just exhaustion. In this case, we've got a big election coming up, right? Joe Biden, he wins. Let's just assume he wins for a second because I think he will. And all of a sudden, capital gains tax are raised, corporate tax are raised, high-end income tax is raised. That won't be good for the market. And so that's not priced in yet. We're still in this euphoric stage of market going up every day, fueled by just tons of liquidity.
So I want to talk about that idea of Biden here for a second, because just yesterday he was saying that he doesn't believe that the shareholder capitalism can continue. How is Wall Street, how are investors going to bake in that thinking?
Well, listen, Wall Street was already moving that way in a lot of ways. Paul Jones has a thing called Just Capital. Larry Fink is on the train, as is Mark Andreessen, and tons of people have been moving that way and saying we need multi-stakeholder capitalism, right? Just shareholder only isn't working. It's the rich-poor gap's getting too wide. It's leaving too many people behind. It's leaving the environment behind. And there's this rise in ESG funds. Almost every fund wants to be an ESG fund these days. And so I do think Biden is moving to where Wall Street, and he's going to be trying to lead Wall Street, but Wall Street was already moving there. So, that's not, I think, the concern for the market as much as the tax code.
So I want to go back for a second because you were talking about these sky-high tech valuations. What does that mean in terms of how you're investing?
A friend of mine, I said this yesterday, a friend of mine said, in markets like this, you want to be on the airplane, but be on the seat closest to the exit. The reality is I've missed this tech move. I fought it a while. I at least got smart enough not to keep fighting it. But I haven't been participating. And so I got a lot of friends that are making a lot more money than I am these days. Listen, I have a whole bunch of gold. I have a whole bunch of Bitcoin. That's also participating in this liquidity-driven bubble. I think they'll be longer-term winners in the liquidity-driven bubble because the liquidity will go away. But it's not catching this mania that you're seeing in these story stocks.
But do you then think that some of these retail investors have it right when it compares to big money, given they did get into these stocks earlier this year?
Yeah, listen, it all depends on when you grade yourself. I'm guessing on the last 3 months, these guys are dancing with the champagne and, spinning plates on their fingers are having so much fun. They just got to make sure they get out before it crashes. And, they always say, pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered. And so that's my advice. At one point, you got to take profit and say, well, enough is good.
What are you buying and selling right now?
Listen, like I said, I've got a thesis that central banks are going to keep inflating. And so I have a position in gold. We have a lot of Bitcoin. There's a lot of value stocks that, cash flowing stocks, that companies which are going to continue to generate cash. And so we're looking at lots of those stocks, kind of the other side of the growth value space. staying away from banks. Banks just trade poorly. It looks like they'll trade poorly for a while until we really think, we're through this COVID crisis.
One more quick question for you here. We had Sheila Bair on a while ago, and she was talking about digital currencies. She believed that they should be used to get money into the hands of Americans. What is stopping the U.S. from adopting a strategy like that?
It's moving in that direction. Listen, the thawing of the iceberg around Bitcoin and other digital currencies is in process, and we have come a long, long way in 3 years. We're just not there yet with the government. China is doing it. China's, experimenting right now in test case, and within a year they will have a digital crypto renminbi, and so it put a lot of pressure on the U.S. And so I do think we'll get there. There'll be Libra, the Facebook project is launching hopefully by the end of this year. That'll be a big stable coin, right? It'll be a dollar-backed crypto that, Facebook has 2.8 billion customers. And so that'll be a great experiment to see how fast that takes off.